video we will be looking at the experimental methodologies to carry out metabolic flux analysis and also look at GCMS data using labeled amino acids to understand how we can carry out 13C flux analysis using mass spectrometry. So, this is the overall methodology for carrying out C13 metabolic flux analysis. So, first you start with cheap unlabeled fermentation experiments where you try to assess the substrate uptake rate, the product formation rate and so on, and also calculate the growth curve, because the time at which you take your samples for carrying out further analysis is heavily dependent on the phase at which the bacterial cells grow, bacterial or yeast cells or any cells grow. So, you need to first understand the physiology of the cells and also understand the different rates at which the product is produced, the substrate is utilized and so on. And from this you then go to the costly C13 tracer experiments where you again do the same kind of analysis. I mean, you take out samples at different time points or at a particular time point depending on the type of experiment you do, and from that you take the biomass of the cells and find out the amino acid labelings. I will come to why do you want to use only amino acids in the next few slides, and also see the free metabolites. So, you basically take the biomass, hydrolyze it, get the amino acids, do further processing by GCMS, about which we will come to in the next slides, and also analyze the free metabolites through other techniques like LCMS, and then find out the labeling patterns. And using this labeling pattern, so you identify the mass spectrum, you get the mass spectrum and you find out the isotopic labeling patterns. So, here you will have data for M0, M1, M2, M3, which I earlier showed you as M, M+1, M+2, M+3, and you fit it into a model which has these equations which can tell you about the relative flux ratios, or you know the flux through the particular pathway and so on. And this model is a small model, generally they start with a small model, they do not go with a larger genome scale model simply because it gets too large for the data to fit. And this core model can be built from the biochemistry knowledge or from different databases. Just take the core network and fit all the fluxes, and also you take the extracellular fluxes from the earlier experiments, fit it into the model and then generate something called a metabolic flux map. And this map can tell you about the fluxes through different pathways. So, this is the overall methodology which is followed in carrying out 13C metabolic flux analysis. So, while I was talking about taking samples and analyzing the biomass, I was very specific about amino acids. So, why should I talk about amino acids? So, this is because these amino acids arise from central carbon metabolism, and when you take these samples like say histidine, serine, glycine, all these are a part of central carbon metabolism. And when you find out the labeling patterns of these amino acids, they serve as a proxy for identifying the fluxes of different central carbon metabolites. So, something like if you want to find out the flux through P reaction bit from PEP to pyruvate, you might want to look at the labeling patterns of alanine, valine, leucine, and then infer the rates at which pyruvate was produced. So, this is why amino acids are most preferable, and also the biomass composition is composed of many amino acids, and these amino acids have their own set of advantages while doing experiments, which I will tell you in the next slides. And also the labeled biomass, so you basically take the labeled biomass and hydrolyze them to get the amino acid metabolites. So, now talking about the GCMS analysis, which forms the basic part of any metabolic flux analysis. So, this is basically a technique to identify the mass distributions. So, GCMS is simply a technique where you have gas chromatography coupled with mass spectrometry, and you analyze the labeling patterns in different amino acids to understand the flux using this particular technique. And if you want to do a GCMS analysis, the substance that you might want to analyze, say for example amino acid, has to be volatile because it is going to be subjected to high temperature and it has to be volatile, and we find that the amino acids are not volatile in nature, but we make them volatile by derivatizing using Cellyl reagents such as MBD, STFA, the name is very big. This is again a Cellyl reagent, and or TBDMS, and using these we get a derived form of amino acid, which when subjected to GCMS analysis would give you different fragments, and using these fragments you try to identify the labeling patterns. So, this is the derived form of any amino acid. So, you have the Cellyl derivatives which attack the hydrogen, that is the reactive hydrogen of an amino acid, and form a derivative which when subjected to a GCMS analysis would lead to different fragmentation, different fragments. So, for instance, if you subject this particular substance to GCMS analysis, the most prominent fragments that you observe are 5. So, the first one which I call F15 is M minus 15. So, it gets fragmented at this position, that is A. So, your methyl groups get cleaved. So, the mass of the amino acid that you get would be M minus 15 when you observe this particular fragment. So, this is M minus 15, 15 because the molecular weight of CH3 is 15. Similarly, if you subject it to say B, I mean if it gets fragmented at B, you get F57. So, the molecular weight of this particular group is 57, and so you get M minus 57. And similarly, if you do it at C, C is basically this point is C, and this will tell you that it is M minus 159 because the mass of the fragment that you get is minus 159. And similarly, there is another fragment that is F302, that is a double cellylated fragment. So, that is coming out here, and E is F minus 85. So, E is this, the one in the dots. So, that is M minus 85, and each of these fragments give information about different positions of the amino acid. For instance, if you were to take a 3 carbon amino acid, and if you were to analyze M minus 15 fragment, it gives you information about all the 3 positions. And if you take again M minus 57, it is going to give you information about all the 3 positions, whereas when you take F159, it gives you information about all the positions except the first, simply because the first gets cleaved and it is not detected by the GCMS detector. And similarly, F85, that is M minus 85, it gives you all information about all the positions except the first. So, using these information of different fragments, you tend to backtrace or you tend to calculate the labelings at different positions. So, this is how a gas chromatograph looks like, I mean gas chromatograph mass spectrum looks like. So, the top panel shows the retention times of different amino acids. So, here you have, this is the order in which every amino acid gets eluted. So, you have alanine, valine, lysine and so on and so forth, and then in the bottom panel you can find the mass spectrum. So, for every retention time you calculate the ions, you calculate the mass of different ions that get eluted, and based on different masses. So, here are you can find 207, 213, 221, and they are at different relative abundances and at every elution time. So, here the time is 4.01. So, in the retention time of 4.01 you can find all these ions. So, this is how a general gas chromatograph looks like, and using this, so if you were to look at alanine, which I was talking to you before, the amino acid. So, you have different masses, you have derivatized masses. So, these are the different M by Z ratios which you might observe for different amino acids. For example, if you have alanine, it has 232, 233, 34, 35, and here again. So, this is how your mass spectrum will look like. So, you have 232, 33, 34 and 35 is not here because it is not labeled, and you also have other fragments which are being detected, and these have the masses starting from 260 to 264, and here you can find the spectrum, mass spectrum, which consists of masses between 260, 261 and 62. And using this you tend to calculate the area under the curve for a particular retention time. Say at 4.47 I know that alanine is being eluted, I take the area under this curve for a particular m by z ratio. So, say for example 231.5 to 232.5. So, this would give an idea of how many ions came out at time 4.47 whose masses are between 231 and 32, and this would give me an idea of this particular m by z ratio. In this lecture we looked at the methodology to understand how to carry out C13 metabolic flux analysis, and also had an idea of how the data from GCMS analytical technique looks like and how the labeled amino acids will show up on a GCMS chromatogram. In the next video we will look at how to use this data and perform metabolic flux analysis, and also discuss a small example where 13C metabolic flux analysis has been carried out.